Teresa Draves. I work in the DEC Forestry Department. I am a Forester 1, and this is...
I'm Nate Morey. I'm also a Forester 1. We're out of the Buffalo office. And we're here at Reinstein Nature Preserve today. We are doing a tree injection treatment on some of the ash trees to protect them against emerald ash borer. So how that works is, first we want to pick out a tree that is relatively healthy already when we started the treatments, so that it has the best chances of survival and to recuperate from the injection, so that we don't waste product on trees that are too far gone. And then we judge by the size and shape of the tree how many injection sites we need and how high the dosage needs to be of the chemical that we use. So for example, this tree here, we are going to have 8 injection sites because of the size of it. And how we do that is we take a drill bit and we drill a small hole into the base of the tree in root flares, if at all possible. And then we have little plugs that we'll put in there, and we can show you that afterwards. One thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is to watch out for poison ivy and other plants like that. And we definitely have that issue here, so just use a little caution. The depth of the hole is just determined by the size of the plug that you're using. It doesn't have to be very deep. If you make it too deep, the hole that is left underneath the plug can cause back pressure, and it can cause the injection site to leak as you're applying chemical, and you want to avoid that, wasting chemical and making an ineffective treatment. Make sure I got enough site there. More in here. Another thing to keep in mind when you're drilling these holes is to remember where previous injection sites have been if you've been treating the same tree for several years, because there's going to be scar tissue around those holes, and it's going to impact the effectiveness of the uptake of the chemical. So you want to space the holes out a little bit, vary them horizontally and vertically. That should be 8. Let me get some plugs here. So when we apply the plugs, this is what the plug looks like. It's a little plastic tube. The inside expands when you put it into the hole, and it's got a little rubber seal on the inside, on this side, that closes it off when there's not an injection needle into there. So it'll seal the tree up afterwards when you're done applying the chemical. And the way you put them in is you stick them into the hole that you drilled. You use this little tool that fits over the nipple on it, and you just gently tap them in. You want it just below the bark a little bit so that it improves the likelihood that it's going to heal over, but not so far in that you can't reach it, obviously.
Is called triage. So you have to be a registered pesticide holder in New York State to apply this chemical. You can't just go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy this. So you have to go to a dealer site, and you have to show your license. You have to be a category 3 or 2 applicator in New York to use this. So we're treating the tree based on diameter of the tree, and that will determine how many milliliters of product that we're going to need. So I'll wait for Nate to 85 milliliters. So we poured 85 milliliters in the cylinder, and then we have 2 bottles that will distribute this in between evenly. So this is our first bottle. Also, I forgot to mention you want to wear protective gloves while doing this. You don't want to get on your skin because it can burn you. So this one, we're going to put about half of this liquid into this bottle. We're just gonna get the top on there tight.
So these are what the needles look like, injection needles. They have a pressure release valve here. You unscrew it, loosen the thread to let the chemical through, and you can tighten it down to stop it. The needles here go, you can see if you look close enough, I don't know if you can or not, but you can see it has the angle, and that's what goes inside of the rubber seal on the plug, and it presses right in. And then you keep them shut until you pressurize this, and then we'll release them. I'll show you how it goes. Get down into the plug here. See that okay? And you just want to make sure you press it in the center. If you put it in at an angle, you can rip the rubber seal, and then you're gonna have to redo the hole. So, make sure they're shut. Okay, so next step, we have all the needles inside the plugs. What we've done is we've opened up all the valves on them, so they're ready to go. We have the valves closed on the bucket. The other one is too, right?
Yes, they're both closed. Yep.
So then once we have it, as long as we have it closed on this end, we can apply the pressure. And it's basically just a modified bike pump with a special tip on it, so it'll fit right into here. Clicks right in, make sure it's shut, and then we just slowly pump it up until you hear it pop. You might have to get closer to listen to it. And that's it. It's to just release. You can see it run through the lines. As it begins to get down, after it's emptied the entire bucket and it's all into the lines, you can start to see the pace of it as it moves along through the tubes, and to see if any holes take it up quicker than others. You know, each tree is a little bit different depending on where the holes are and what the wood is like inside.
How can you tell how quick it's going?
Once you start seeing these air bubbles on the other end after it's emptied out of the tube, you can see right there, and now it's reaching into the 4 separate tubes. So you can watch it. It's kind of a tangle here, but you can watch and see that, you know, this one is taking it a lot quicker than some of the other ones. And then it just moves along at that pace. This is actually a relatively quick pace compared to some of the ones that I've done. You see, it is still moving. Remember if you kind of tweak it.
Yeah, mine are still moving. They're just very slow.
Okay, so what we've been doing, we've got most of the line drained here. As they start to empty out, you'll see the air bubble move down to the end and there's no more chemical left in the line. As they do, what we do is we shut the valve off on each of those, pull them out, so that any pressure that is remaining in here can get concentrated into whatever lines do have chemical in them still. Now, some of them do slow down a lot, and if that's the case, it could be where I put the hole. It might have been a poor spot, or it could be that you just have to apply more pressure. Sometimes it uses all it has and you have to just recharge it. So then you kind of just play it as you go. Sometimes you have to modify it and, you know, work by ear. With this one, I think I'm going to try to put just a little bit more pressure in. It's still going, but it'll go a little bit quicker if I put just a little bit more pressure on it.
Okay, so the triage chemical that we're using, the way it works is it's going to be toxic to the emerald ash borer. So once it goes in those tubes into the tree, it's going to stay in there for approximately 2 to 3 years and kind of work its way back and forth with the general processes of the tree, up and down the xylem and phloem, the living portion of the tree right under the bark. So the larva stage is what's going to be feeding right underneath the bark, and that's what's going to eat. Once it gets into that xylem and phloem, the chemical is going to be in there. It's going to ingest the chemical, and that will kill the larva. So that's how it's targeting the emerald ash borer, and it should kill it before it's going to become an adult. So it keeps it from becoming an adult and then having eggs and repopulating.